Welcome to this instructional video about closing a gap at the bust of a button-down top or dress. The garment will be permanently closed at the bust area, so be sure that you can put it on over your head or step into it when it's buttoned shut. And this is the dress that I have buttons that need to be sewn down. There's a placard. You see, I'm lifting that up. And there's a placard on both sides of the dress, one where the buttonholes are, one where the buttons are. So I'm pressing down that part from the inside, and I've got it buttoned back together again. And now I'm going to pin it together right along the edge of that placard where the top stitching is on the top. And that will be our stitch line to follow. And you want to make sure that you are catching the underneath placard so that it will close, that it will get stitched together properly. So I pin it with the pins in the direction that I'll be sewing from, and that way they'll be easy to remove as I'm moving along with the sewing machine. Now you see here, that's where the gap is happening. So I need to reposition the dress in a place that I can keep pinning it down and making sure that those placards are meeting, making sure that I can sew down that top stitch line and join the dress together in the front and close that gap. At the very top of the dress, I have to make sure that it's going to meet, that I can stitch through everything properly. I'm pinning it down. It's very thick here. There. The pin's in place, and I'm ready to stitch. I'm turning it right side out. Actually, I'm turning it wrong side out, and I'm going to stitch. I'm checking where the pins are attached. I'm checking to make sure that the stitching is going to catch the underneath placard, and one pin didn't. So I'm repositioning, making sure that I'm going to be able to get it stitched together. That should do it. Yes, that's better. This is my sewing machine. It's a 1954 Singer. I'm using a 10-inch length stitch, matching thread color. The tension is set at 3.5, which is always at that setting. I have pins, I have my scissors, and what I need to do now is change the presser foot. We're going to be using a zipper foot attachment. So you have to take off the all-purpose foot, presser foot, and replace it with your zipper foot attachment. You may have a much more modern machine, I would think, but it still has a zipper foot attachment, and that's what you need to use so you can get close to the buttons, because you're going to be sewing right alongside of them. So I'm getting the garment in position to stitch. At first I thought I was going to stitch it from the neck down. And then I realized I'd rather start it from the bottom up. So I'm taking a couple of stitches here. I'm still at the neck, sewing back and forth, checking with my finger underneath the placard to make sure that that underneath placard is going to be in place. And I'm stitching along. Take out my pins before I damage my sewing needle. And I'm just sewing along, making sure that I'm on top of that top stitch line and catching the underneath placard. And I do this very slowly, all the way down. And I'm checking the top. And there's a problem there. I didn't catch the underneath part of the placard at the top, at the very top edge. So I have to repin. So I'll get back. So I stitched all the way down. And now I'm doing the very bottom. And I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom edge. I'm just going to go to the bottom of that bottom button. So to give it a natural look, as if it were just buttoned and not sewn down. So I'm checking underneath, I'm looking at the placard, making sure that it's stitched, making sure that it's caught everywhere, and it looks really good. I'm going to reinforce the neckline. I'm going to stitch it back and forth again along that top stitch line. And then I'm going to trim off some threads. Keep reinforcing that top neckline. There's a lot of tension there, so you want to make sure it's going to hold. And then I turn it so that the neckline is parallel to the zipper foot, and I sew across the top edge of that placard along the neckline and give it an extra secure stitch across the top of there. Back and forth. Trimming the threads so it looks nice and neat. You want to get very close. I recommend snipping the top thread first and then tugging on the underneath thread before you cut it real close. And what that does is it pulls through any little tail that might be left on the top that would be visible. So you're pulling it through to the back when you yank on that underneath thread. There will be more instructional videos coming up in the future. When you're done, I'm not sure what it is I'm going to work on, but I would like to go through patterns so that people can understand how to read the front of a pattern, how to read the back of the pattern. For more free sewing instruction videos. To subscribe for more free instruction videos on how to read a pattern, how to read the envelope, and I really enjoyed being able to present these to you. So be looking for that. I do teach students in my home. Thank you very much. Renee Sewing.
So God bless
Lessons,
you
hem, alterations,
and
clothing
keep you.
repair. God
Thank you
bless
very
you.
much.
God keep you.